Hello again. Somebody commented here recently that this channel should really be called Debunking Black History, which was a fair point, really. Why am I so exercised about this type of crank history above all others? After all, there's many mad theories circulating on the internet. Why am I focusing on black history? Maybe I can try and explain. There's never been any shortage of crackpot theories which are rewriting history. When I was young, Velikovsky's books like Worlds in Collision and Ages in Chaos were very popular with some people. So were Eric von Daniken's books about aliens kick-starting civilization on Earth. The thing is with those things, those ideas, they were published in books and occasionally serialised in newspapers, but they didn't have a hugely wide circulation. Most people realised that they were just entertaining nonsense, and they weren't altogether taken they weren't at all taken seriously by normal people. More recently, of course, we've had the idea advanced that the British royal family are really shape-shifting lizards from another planet, and also that all civilization on Earth was founded by refugees from Atlantis. The problem is that with the growth of the internet and the spread of mobile telephones, these sort of crazy ideas aren't just available to people that have bought or borrowed a book. Anybody, billions of people, can look all this up in a fraction of a second. Two things have happened to make this situation more dangerous recently. The first is that while most people quite rightly feel able to jeer at David Icke or Eric von Daniken, or indeed me, because we're all white Europeans, they feel nervous about mocking or deriding black people. They're afraid of being labelled as racists or white supremacists. I mean, I don't much care about this, but a lot of people get upset or feel threatened if somebody calls them a racist. That means that white people with mad ideas are mocked, black people aren't. Black people often tend to be treated with respect, and nobody likes to contradict them or tell them they're talking rubbish. This fear leads to very bizarre situations. A number of authors over the last few years, last 10 or 20 years perhaps, have claimed that Atlantis, the lost continent of Atlantis, which is no evidence whatsoever, is the source of our civilization. I'm thinking of people like Graham Hancock and so on. Here's a few of the books that are connected with this idea. I imagine, and I certainly hope, that if any of these people went to speak at Oxford University about Atlantis and started putting forward their strange ideas, the students would laugh them to scorn. I certainly hope that's the case anyway. Things are very different when it's a black person spouting this sort of nonsense. Somebody commenting on the video that I did about Egypt gave me a link to a talk at Oxford University, at the Oxford Union. It was a black pop singer called Kingsley Daly, of whom I've never heard. He was telling them about the supposed origins of civilization in Africa, and he was quoting a book called Black Genesis. I say quoting, he was regurgitating a lot of the stuff. Black Genesis was written by one of these same cranks that wrote books about Atlantis and so on. The name Michaela, by the way, puts me in mind of a leader of a pack of Cub Scouts. I wonder if he took his name from Kipling's Jungle Book as well. Anyway, he began trotting out a load of stuff from this weird book, written by these Atlantis cranks. And believe it or not, the audience at the Oxford Union sat in hushed reverence. They didn't jeer him or weren't greeting him with howls of derision or anything. Had he been a white guy, I think they would have felt able to do that because he was so obviously talking nonsense. Because he was black, he got away with it. Even though it doesn't really bother me, After all, most students are idiots, and if they want to listen with rapt attention while a pop singer talks about Atlantis, it's no affair of mine really, as I'm sure we'll all agree. In short, my view is that anybody should be able to talk any old rubbish. I mean, just look at me. And as long as their audience consists of people over the age of 18, it's nobody's business. The problem is, though, that this particular imaginary version of history is currently being taught in schools, and it looks likely to be taught even more widely if plans by groups such as the Black Curriculum get off the ground. I have in the past explained in a previous video some of the problems with black history as it is being taught in schools at the moment. The Mary Seacole business, for example, I looked into at some great length. It's nothing at all compared to what's planned if some people get their own way. Instead of just an explosion of falsified history once a month in October when Britain has Black History Month, there's a very real danger that nonsense about Atlantis and Imhotep and Lord knows what else will actually end up being incorporated in the national curriculum. That would be disastrous, not because it involves black people, but because it's pseudo-history. It's as crazy as von Daniken's Chariots of the Gods. So the idea that pseudo-history would be taught in schools, especially divisive pseudo-history like this, gives me the horrors a little bit. I'm going to talk in a video soon about the Black Curriculum project, which is something which is I find slightly sinister.